Hello, everyone. My name is Isim Miracle, and I'm super excited to share our latest project on Omega Logistics with you all on behalf of my team. For the sake of time, I won't be able to dwell much on all the theoretical aspects of the presentation, so I'll just head straight to our analysis, our insight, and then our recommendation. But before I do that, I would like to take a quick stop at the project objective. So, the project objective wanted us to identify inefficiencies in the current process, then help the company to optimize its process workflow, and then see ways we can also help the company to cut down on cost and then improve on customer satisfaction. So I'll head straight to our first dashboard. So here is our first dashboard where we did analysis on the comparison between fuel consumption, fuel costs, and maintenance costs by the various vehicle types that are available in the company. And what we found out was motorbikes currently is consuming more fuel and then also costing more in terms of fuel cost compared to trucks and van. And then moving on to average distance, looking at average distance, on time delivery, and late delivery by the various vehicle type. So we can clearly see that in terms of average distance covered, van covered more distance compared to motorbikes and then compared to truck as well. But when it comes to on time delivery, we can see that both motorbike and van score the same in terms of on time delivery compared to trucks. And then when we now looked at late delivery, we discovered that motorbikes recorded the highest level of late delivery. During the entire period that we analyzed, looked at capacity utilization by the different types of vehicle, we discovered that bikes was more utilized compared to truck and then van. And then going to a total number of vehicles that are available in the company, we discover that motorbikes are more in the company. They consume more fuel, they cost more fuel, and then they recorded the highest in terms of late delivery, but yet they are more in the company. That is something that the company needs to pay attention to. Then when we looked at customer satisfaction rates by the various vehicle type, we discovered that customers are more satisfied with delivery from trucks compared to motorbikes and van. Then I move on to our next dashboard where we looked at total number of vehicle by year, by vehicle type. We just looked at the trend, and you can clearly see that motorbikes were the highest from the beginning of the period, and as at the end of the period, they were also the highest. So in 2021, the number of motorbike dropped, but from 2021 to 2023, it's kept increasing. So if the company really need to work on cost cutting, they need to check this particular trend and ensure that they cut down on the level of motorbikes in the system. Then when you also look at total fuel cost by year, by vehicle type, we can clearly see that motorbike is costing more in terms of fuel. And then when we look at maintenance costs, it's also interesting to see that as at 2023, motorbike was costing more in terms of maintenance. So then when we looked at total fuel consumption by year and by vehicle type, we can also clearly see that from the beginning of the period 2020, motorbike was costing more, and as at the end of the period as well, motorbike was also slightly costing more in terms of fuel consumption. This is something that needs to be looked into seriously. Then looking at total inventory holding cost by inventory level. So we can clearly see that the more inventory the company is holding, the higher inventory cost they are accumulating. And then the lesser inventory they are holding, the lower their inventory cost. So it's important that they understand these dynamics to be able to manage their inventory cost appropriately. Then when we looked at the rate at which the company is turning over its inventory, by various inventory levels, so we can clearly see that the higher they are turning out their inventory, the lesser inventory they are holding. So the lower they are turning out their inventory, the more inventory they are holding. So they need to understand this and watch it to be able to manage their inventory holding cost appropriately. And then moving on to insights that we've been able to derive from our analysis altogether, we looked at the correlation between delivery time and customer satisfaction. And we found out that, there is a positive relationship between these two. So if the delivery time is shorter, customers are better satisfied. But if the delivery time is longer, then customers are dissatisfied. So it's important that the company plan their delivery properly to ensure that customers don't wait endlessly for their item before it gets to them. Then we also looked at route duration and customer satisfaction. So we found out that the longer the route duration, the more dissatisfied the customers are, because it means that it will take longer time for those items to get to the customers, and then it leads to dissatisfied customers. So here again, we are bringing in the importance of planning in route duration to ensure that longer routes, they are properly planned in such a way that you minimize the number of stops within those routes and ensure that customers are able to get their item, on time, and then they are happy with the services of the company. And then when we looked at restocking frequency and inventory holding costs, we found a perfect, correlation with this as well. We discovered that, the more frequently the company is restocking, the higher the inventory holding cost. Because looking at utilization rate and the level of inventory, so we also found a positive relationship between these two. This means that as the inventory level increases, the utilization rate also increases. Moving away from that, we look at capacity utilization and utilization rate, right? We also see a perfect, positive correlation between these two. This means that as capacity utilization increases, the utilization rate also tend to increase. Having done all of this correlation, we went ahead to, to design a process flow chart, an optimal process flow chart for the company to ensure that they achieve their objective out of this project. So we designed a procurement process flow chart, and then also we went ahead to design a warehouse process flow chart, and followed by an inventory management process flow chart. And then we also went ahead to also prepare transportation process flow chart. So then finally, we designed a delivery process flow chart. From here, I'll be moving straight to the recommendations that we have for the company. So our first recommendation is that we recommend that the company should prioritize optimizing delivery time. Secondly, the company should invest in advanced route optimization software. Of course, in this age and time of technology, it's important that the company leverage, the availability of technology to ensure that they manage their route appropriately. Then thirdly, Omega Logistics should consider using automated inventory management systems. And fourthly, the company should cut down on the use of motorbike to minimize inefficiency and reduce cost. So from our analysis, we can clearly see that bikes, consume more fuel, was costing them more. And then in terms of maintenance, they were visiting maintenance department more frequently. And in terms of delay, in delivering to customer, they also recorded the highest. So then again, we also recommend a training for the staffs of the company. Then finally, we recommend an inventory policy such as just in time to minimize holding excess stock. Team that worked on this particular project with me. Thank you very much for listening.